Welcome to a one-off game of a World of Terra D&D. We had a little bit of time tonight. We figured we'd play. We unfortunately don't have Bobby or Adam with us, but we do have Solus from our other Bog gaming groups. Say hi to the people, Solus.
Hello.
We also have Lex.
Hi all.
Being a one-off, we don't have characters yet to go with. We don't know if we'll ever get to play this again, so what I decided we were going to do was just kind of set up in the world that both these guys are fairly familiar with from other games I've run over the course of years. Actually, our first games together were in the early version of this game world before it was quite as developed as it is now. It was back in GURPS. Um,
Yeah.
Today we're going to try something a little bit special. Quasi influenced by it's something I've wanted to do for a while, but doing it now for this game was influenced probably pretty heavily by a recent comic by PvP's Scott Kurtz, in which his Table Titan crew is running a kind of a pickup game as well. Very similar situation to this, except they have people and we have two. So the idea is that we're going to develop these characters as we play. Going to be a very hopefully narrative heavy. Even though we found out we were going to be playing at like 2 o'clock this afternoon and it's 7 now, so
Yeah, that's my bad.
no real time to prep. If you're coming in for the rules for some reason, may not be the game for you, but hopefully we'll have a good time. That's what we just really want to unwind after this week. So we're gonna have a good time playing. Hopefully you'll have a good time laughing along, following the story. Uh, just see what we can get done. So all I've asked the players to do so far is consider a name and possibly what
shit.
race they are.
Right?
And then I got home and Lex and I played Warframe for like 3 hours, so I don't know that anyone has done anything. Um, so you can think about that while I give this background exposition
His name's gonna be Titania.
to get us started. Um,
His name.
Oh, what?
gonna throw us all off.
Oh shit.
Uh, okay.
You said his name.
Oh. I meant his. Never mind.
Uh, it's been 8 months. Hey, stop that.
I'm sorry.
The C team got into that. Not
Did
I don't
they?
think this week, but the week before. It was bad. Yeah.
Oh man. Alright, I'm sorry.
Because some time
I'm
had
sorry.
passed, and like he started to say it, and he immediately regretted it. You could tell just immediately. It was fantastic.
I really need to watch that.
It's very good. Anywho, this birds are throwing me off, man.
What do you want me to do
It
about
was a
it?
dark and stormy night.
Are your windows closed? Like, I don't know what's happening right now. Okay, it's been 8 months. Okay, well, the laughing has to stop, or this won't work because the tone is going to be way off. See, guys, this is what the game is basically going to be. This and just kind of an experiment of creating on the fly. These guys know this world almost as well as I do, probably by this point. Not so much Lex because he forgets everything, but Solus because he cares about rules and the history and all his characters that he's ever made.
Yes.
It's been 8 months since your city burned to the ground,
Oh shit.
attacked in the middle of the night by terrifying forces of darkness, both seen and unseen. The memories haunt your nightmares every night. Um, During the day, you're finding trouble eating still. Uh, you're in a constant state of fear because you're only 10 and you
Oh.
don't know what the world holds. That city was everything. Uh, to you, it was a booming metropolis where your families lived, where traders would come and go. To the rest of the region, it was a provincial town, walled like many, but certainly not a hive of culture, um, and not even a hive of scum and villainy. It is also May the 4th, just for anyone who cares. um,
Well done.
Yeah. But it was nice, and it was home. And now you're orphans, and wandering the wilderness, as it were. You still don't fully understand what happened. You had heard people getting agitated. You knew the army was coming, but in the past, that had always been something to look forward to, a time where you could go with your friends and climb up the fences and sit and watch the parade of all the shining armor. Sometimes even the army wizards would come through, their billowing cloaks and staves, their regal nature, the closest thing you'd ever seen to nobles or kings. Magic being fairly rare, especially outside of the big cities, this would all have been very new to you. Or at least at this scale and in this context. The night that the city burned, you remember everyone being on edge, and you were sent to bed very soon after supper. Supper had been meager, especially that last week. Almost as if your mothers did not have enough food to prepare. What you didn't understand at the time, and was along with not being able to leave town and go play in the fields, was that the town was under siege. That wasn't fully explained to you. It wasn't necessarily fully explained to your parents and the other townsfolk. The siege began and ended quickly. The forces at play here were powerful enough that a relatively meager encampment, not a fortress, not a garrison, was overrun quickly. The sounds of the catapults, the blazing fire of untold magic, and the creatures. The thing you remember most are the creatures. Gaunt faces, almost alive with fire, shifting and molding as if worms were crawling just below the skin. You remember orange and red tint to everything, not only from the fire, but the skin of these things. Shaggy, filthy fur hanging from them in clumps, scales, and rocky protrusions of horn. Foul odor emanating through the town. Brimstone and rotting meat. And then the world exploded in action. Your parents grabbing you, carrying you through the streets, you hearing screaming as you tried to avert your eyes from people being cut down around you. Hulking armored figures, swung blades through, back and forth through people you had known your entire life. Faceless entities in the night that took your peaceful village to ruins on the ground. You haven't been back to the area, but you do know that you could see the smoke billowing behind you for weeks. It was about a week later in the woods. You had been told to run, and after what you saw, you did not stop. You ran until your feet bled, your hands and faces cut by thorns and branches, until you collapsed into a stream, drinking greedily 2 days later. It was after that first week you had finally kind of gotten to know each other. You were the only two, as far as you know, that survived. At least the only two who ran in this direction. The packs you were handed are now somewhat devoid of food, but that's not the biggest of your worries, because at night you hear the howling of wolves closing in, closer and closer. 2 weeks since your town was destroyed, you see the eyes glint in the darkness, what barely constitutes a campfire between you and certain death. Roll initiative.
Ooh.
But we're like 10.
Yeah.
Do we have advantage?
No.
We have disadvantage.
Hey, same team. 11.
I rolled a solid 7.
Come on, man.
All right.
Hey, this is gonna go real well.
Right.
The lead
So
wolf. Oh, good.
You said it's been 2 weeks, but it also been 8 months.
No, so the 8 months was a push ahead. This is now a flashback.
I
It's
figured.
because it's all coming off like straight off the top of the head.
No. We're going 8 months and then zooming back to this point.
Yes, so
Okay.
the game proper will be
Yeah.
8 months from this
Okay,
point, essentially.
cool.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to mess with your storytelling.
No, you're good. The lead wolf growls and it approaches, gnashing its teeth, spittle dripping. It gives the campfire a wide berth, and then you see 2 other pairs of lights, or eyes, emerge from the woods. 3 wolves. Possibly not the full choir of voices you've been hearing in the night. You look at each other and gulp, unsure if you're going to be able to do what your parents in their dying breaths, pushing you over the wall before you saw their hand for the very last time as you fell to the safety below. Running away, hoping that the screaming behind you wasn't them, that they somehow made it out behind you. But they had given you your packs, full of food, prepped days in advance, as if they knew that this was going to happen. Your father, or mother, if you want, had handed you something. Something that had belonged to them or to the family for your entire life. Something that you remembered them carrying with them time to time. And they passed it on to you, telling you to use it, that it would protect you. Brand, what is your item?
It is a...
If you, I mean, it can be your father's sword.
Uh.
It can be your grandfather's walking stick. It can be a family heirloom like the family Bible, or some other sort of thing.
For me, it is a carving of a mythical creature.
Okay, what kind of creature?
It is a large feline carved from some sort of dark wood. I don't know the type, but it's been in the family for generations. The cat is just, it's got big, sharp teeth, ears that are like folded back as if it's in the middle of snarling at something.
Okay, so not like a Japanese lucky cat with its little polyp.
No,
Okay.
it's definitely
because that's a different thing altogether.
A war beast of some sort.
Okay. Does it have a religious significance?
It does not.
Okay.
My family was not so much into that. They superstitious, but not religious.
Were you? Was this the kind of thing that like your father carried with him, or did it sit on like the mantle?
It sat on a mantle in a clear, like, glass is an expensive item, so it sat in this, like, the nicest thing in our house was this box and this glass case locked. And on rare occasions and holidays, we would all bring it out, and my father would tell stories between drunken ramblings that were different every time about how it came to be in our possession.
Sure. Okay. It's your turn. There are branches around you. You could attempt to make a break for the campfire to grab a fiery stick. You have your sack on you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? This
So
wolf
even
is
though
bearing down on the two of you.
I rolled a 7 instead of an 11, I go first.
Oh, I did put you in front of Lex. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I can still go.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, Lex.
It's cool.
I'll look over at my companion, and are we saying anything about who we are or what we look like, or just go?
Just go ahead.
Okay.
Don't talk about that. There's wolves.
I'm gonna make a break for
Or you could run
hopefully a still burning piece of log in the fire that's not going to burn my hand when I pick it up.
Okay. You guys had tossed some longer sticks in there in the course of the night. One of which you're kind of able to get your hands on. I need a dexterity saving throw.
That's a 12.
Okay. The wolf kind of snaps at you, but the way you lash out at it recoils enough, and you're able to grab this branch and kind of get back to your buddy. The wolf lowers its ears, angry, but still kind of zeroes in on you and approaches. Lex, what is your item?
My family were the town's butchers, so I got the family's nicest favorite butcher knife.
Okay. So you pull out your shiny blade. This thick cleaver made for chopping through bone and beast flesh. Typically still on a table.
I look down at my stupid cat figurine, like, oh, come on.
Would you like to attack the wolf with your weapon, or run and leave your friend, or?
Well, we've been together for since the madness began, so no, I'll attack. I'm a good friend.
Oh.
Crying, I will run at the wolf and slash at it.
Roll a d20 with disadvantage.
D20 with disadvantage. Okay. Two.
You swing wildly, and the wolf kind of steps away, but it doesn't. You don't connect with it. Now the other two wolves have zeroed in. You think that you're mere moments away from them leaping and attacking.
I cry louder.
Solus, what do you do?
Is there a quickly climbable tree nearby?
You could try.
Okay. I shout to my companion, and I point at a tree that hopefully we can both get into, and I will try to scramble my way up it.
Can you give me an athletics check?
Ooh, that's pretty good. 15.
Okay. You're fairly small and weak, so 15 is actually higher than the result will be. But you manage to kind of get some grip, and maybe it's because you're not the only one there, but the wolves don't immediately lunge at you to keep you off the tree. Your back was basically to it anyway, so you're able to, without having to run past them, get up and start climbing. But you're not sure you can climb fast enough to really get away from them if they leap for you.
Oh, gosh.
The burning branch, of course, had to be dropped in order to do this,
Mm-hmm.
And it burns on the ground below you.
I'm hoping that'll keep him back if Lex tries to come climb.
Lex, your friend has yelled at you to climb the tree with him.
Is it possible to extend my hand down as he comes?
Yeah, sure.
Try to help. If he wants to. Or she.
Yeah, no. That sounds like a great idea. Can I throw the stick that Brand dropped at the wolves?
Sure.
And fling it at them. Okay, and that's what I'll do while as I run past to climb up the tree.
Okay, go ahead and roll a d20 for range attack.
3. I set the tree alight.
You kind of just flick it out, and then you kind of scramble at the tree. The cleaver dropping as you reach up for your friend's hand. So let's make a
D20.
strength check. Yeah.
14.
You are not able to pull your friend up, and in fact,
jeez. I'm so weak.
And in fact, your own grip slips, and you both fall onto your backs in the dirt.
Oh, we're so
A
dead.
barely burning branch. Yeah, it's gonna be a real short game. A barely burning branch between you and the wolves. You see the wolves coil down, ready, and then they rush at you with a snarl. There's an odd sound a little ways off in the woods, kind of a sound, and you hear just the slightest whistle, and the wolf's head just jerks to the side, and it tumbles into the ground, coming to a rest like up against you from the momentum, kind of falling partially on top of you with this warm, shaggy fur, and you look down, and there's this arrow through its neck, right at the base of its skull, that just cleanly severed through its spine. You hear and a yowl of pain, and what you think is maybe a wolf running away, and you see another wolf in the woods, or that was just on the edge of the campfire circle, fall into a bloody mess on the in the dirt. What do you do?
Panic. I'm going to. If we look behind the tree, do we see anything up behind us?
No. The arrows kind of came off to the side, not like directly behind you or anything.
Just turn, and I'm just going to try to grab whoever Lex is and just turn and run away. Just run as fast as we can.
Okay.
Sounds fair.
Lex, do you aid this? Okay.
Yeah.
You both take off running, leaving.
We've
all
been
of your
running for weeks. Why not?
Leaving all of your possessions behind. You run through the night until the break of morning, until you can't run anymore. You are physically exhausted, and you basically just collapse in a field. Not even sure how far off the road you are anymore. You don't even know if you're in your country anymore. You feel like you've been running forever. Luckily, you hear the babbling of a brook nearby, and you crawl over to it, sipping deep, coming to realize that you no longer have food, and you no longer have your possessions. And now you're unsure whether the limited amount of food that you had to keep you alive, or the blankets to keep you warm, are going to be what you miss the most.
Do we at least still have the cat thing and the?
No, both were dropped at the site. Unless the cat thing is very tiny and went like in a pocket.
It's like lower fist sized.
Yeah. So in order to climb the tree, you wouldn't have had anything in your hands.
Right.
So both were left in your packs. Oh well,
Yep.
the cleaver would have been dropped by the tree.
Right.
You rest. You're unable to go any further. You're at the point of utter exhaustion. The burning in your chest as you gasp at air and try to recover is overwhelming. You've never felt like this before. But after you've sat for a few moments, you find that you're able to laugh about the wolves. You kind of look at each other and can't believe that you got away again from danger, but also curious about what saved you or what was hunting you.
I'm hungry.
What are your names?
Lex, do you need more time, or should I go first?
Delilah, I guess.
Oh, that's adorable.
Well, it's an adorable little 10-year-old girl, so.
Oh, I like it. I am Relland, Relland.
Okay. Are you human?
I am.
Delilah. Would you like to be a little
No.
dwarf girl?
Sure, I'll do that, yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is getting even better.
Delilah, the dwarf girl. All right. You of course have to speak with a dwarven accent now.
I think he's already there. He's good.
This is more of a Goliath accent to me.
His voice works for tieflings, Goliaths, dwarfs. It's good. Gruff humans.
Okay.
Oh, well.
So you you don't have to be a dwarf. It's just the first thing that I said.
That's cool. Haven't played a dwarf yet, so.
Not that it really matters.
I haven't played a human since the last time we played on this. I played on this setting, which was 7 years ago.
Was it?
We've known each other for too long.
Jesus. Okay. So you begin to rest and kind of get a little bit giggly, surprisingly. But then you kind of both drift off to sleep, just purely exhausted.
Are our feet still bleeding?
No, you've kind of taken care of that. You have shoes. You managed to kind of put a little bit of cloth in there to help you protect yourselves. You washed them in the brook, the first little stream that you found, and you could have again here. Now that you've been on the road, it's kind of been okay. It was mostly the first night or so where you just were running forever. I would like each of you to roll a D100, please.
Ooh. Alright, so that's this one and a D10, I believe, right? Oh no! It's off the table, doesn't count.
It counts if you can see it.
Oh, damn. But you can't beat me, Lex.
Can't I?
95.
You're right. 36.
Well, it depends on if we're playing golf rules or...
Well, I do have plenty of birdies.
That's true. Oh, man. Oh, it took too long. Oh, boy. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, Delilah, you have become something that you've never really been before, but it's really started to set in. You have become afraid of the dark. More specifically, anything that you see in the dark.
Which is nothing, so I'm cool.
Well, you have dark vision.
You have dark vision.
Oh. Anything I see in the dark scares me.
Specifically, the shapes of things that aren't there. The fear that sooner or later what happened to your town is going to catch up to you. So the eyes in the woods of the wolves before they were fully into your vision range was pretty significantly traumatizing for you. Relland, You have developed a little bit of a stutter, which you do not have to play.
I will. That's fine. It's not going to be too bad.
Um, but you used to have no trouble talking to people, especially kids your age and whatnot. But now, anytime you and Delilah start to talk, uh, you find you have a little bit of trouble putting it together. Um, and now that you know it's not from the cold and not from the immediate fear, it worries you even more because you don't want this as a relic of today or of this time.
Oh, okay.
So you wake up a few hours later. Um, the slight breeze waving through what is essentially like tall grasses that have gone to seed, so they've branched out like little wheat stalks, and they're just kind of billowing around you. There's a dwarf and human shaped hole where you just kind of collapsed into them. The stream nearby, the croaking of toads, and crickets as evening begins to set in again.
Are you awake, Delilah?
Oh yeah, I haven't slept a wink.
Oh, I think I slept on a rock.
Don't get rid of it, please. You might. It's our only weapon at this point.
Can I
We
pick
should.
up? Yeah. Can I pick up a rock?
Sure.
Yeah. I will try to find a pointy one.
You find a couple like river rock type things that you could easily throw, or some that are a little bit more elongated or jagged that you could jab down.
I'll pick some throwing ones if I can.
Yeah.
Put them under weapons.
Sure. Delilah, you find one that's relatively tomahawk shaped in the sense of like you can kind of grip on it and it has a flatter edge on one end. You could see yourself whacking something with it if need be.
Cool.
But also probably a very comfortable pillow for you. You're jealous
God,
that he
yeah.
slept on a rock.
I'm jealous he slept at all.
What do you do now that you are armed,
We're
thirsted?
really thirsted up, is that a thing?
I don't know. You have a babbling brook, so you don't need water, so you're good.
Yeah. We really need to get out of this forest and find civilization. I want my mommy.
Do you know which way to go?
Delilah, you may roll a d20. This will be an intelligence check. Of course,
I use rock sense.
this will depend on how much your parents told you about the surrounding region.
Very little.
Okay, so they didn't necessarily school you in the history of the region or your people.
My people, sure, a bit.
Okay,
Actually,
dwarves would have been pretty rare in your
actually,
town.
now that I think about it, my father would take me out when he was poaching.
So your father was a bit of a hunter.
Yeah,
Okay.
he would take me on his trips so I could basically carry the crap back that he hunted,
Sure.
but I would be out with him.
Sure. Delilah, make an intelligence check. This is versus. It's not really a history check. It's just kind of a straight intelligence check.
Yeah, 11.
How good is Delilah at recalling facts?
Better than I am.
Okay, well, that's not hard. So 3 or better intelligence is what we're saying.
I just write 3 plus.
Right, what did you roll? I'm sorry.
11.
Okay. So oh, you don't have to fill in any slots yet. You remember stories that your parents would kind of tell you about how they traveled from the clan holdings to this town but that there is a like a cousin or like close family clan um, that lives sort of nearby your town, um, and you think that it was to the northeast of town. Um, and your parents had always, when you would ask them about the stories and if you would ever get to see what a real dwarven hall looked like, um, they would kind of tell you that it was too far to travel, that it would be, you know, a week or more on the road. Um, so you just remember this clan holding being, this allied clan holding being to the northeast of town. But you don't know which way you went. Relland, you know a little bit about tracking and finding your way, so you're going to be making a wisdom uh, check, basically a survival check.
Okay. I also rolled an 11.
You think you were heading north, but you don't know if you were heading northeast.
Okay.
But you think that if there was a dwarven hold, um, or a clan lair, these are the sort of things you only ever heard about in like kind of the equivalent of like fairy tales, because that would be a completely different world from what you were used to in kind of farmer town slash woods hunting and whatnot. But you can imagine what a dwarf hold would be like, and you can imagine that it would be very defensible from what you know of dwarves. Um, After all, you remember Delilah's father as a big strapping dwarf, even though he was small compared to the other humans. He always looked powerful.
Mm.
And when your family would get your uh, your kills
Me.
cleaned by her father, um, you just remember those powerful arms. One strike would remove just sections of the beast, regardless of whether it was a small hare or a large deer, a wild
Yeah,
boar
man.
even.
You are my father's strong, strapping arms. Oh, man. On and
This
on you went
this
about
got
them.
weird fast. Uh,
I'm turning your game into my fan fiction now.
Oh man. Jeez.
Between the two of you, you think that there might be a dwarven hold or clan hall somewhat nearby, but you would need to find the road and travel in the right direction maybe to get there.
Um, Relland will kind of look at the babbling brook, and does it look like it goes for a while?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Does one of them head northish?
Uh,
There's one
the
direction.
river mostly is in the northeast to southwest direction. Yeah,
Okay.
kind of a
Uh,
dragon cut.
do you think we should follow the brook? Maybe it'll lead to the road.
It's it, it's it's probably better though, just blindly walking through the forest, I guess.
Right? We could at least have something to track our path.
Yeah. You okay?
No,
Yeah,
um,
me neither.
but I can't. My father's gonna be so mad when he finds out I lost the cat.
Well, I'm sure you'll be happy when you turn up alive,
Hope
right?
hope so. Let's go.
Let's go.
And so you follow the brook northeast.
Hmm.
Okay. You begin to travel. Um, the evening breeze billows through the trees. Um, these are kind of like maple type trees, or possibly even like fruit-bearing or apple trees. Not terribly dense. It's kind of more of a weirdly idyllic kind of low grassy hills. This brook kind of goes up into them. Not too dense around you, but you can't see too far before the trees kind of close in. You see no signs of human passage in any way, shape, or form. And soon the darkness falls as it becomes, as you kind of crest the first major hill and see the brook kind of disappear around a corner in the distance into a heavier copse of trees.
I start to cling to my friend a little bit.
I don't mind.
Why does it remind you of my dad's strong arms?
See, I didn't say anything about this. This is all the DM's fault.
Yeah, I just got that he was implying that you were just. I didn't catch that the first time.
Relland's
Through
just
the
sitting
giggling,
there
I couldn't.
thinking about Delilah's dad's arms, apparently. No. Not,
And that
not what he
beard.
was thinking about.
I am painting a picture here, and you are the turpentine upon the canvas of my artwork.
I wish I could say I was sorry, but I'm really not.
We know you're not.
Usually I'm the one that makes the really off-put sexual jokes, and there goes Lex taking the lead there.
You kind of realize that a choice lies before you. Either kind of try to huddle up under one of these trees and sleep, continue on, or look for better conditions.
Can I try to use some of the training
Sure.
my father gave me to find a safer place to camp than out in the open?
Perception check.
Oh, that's a 4.
I get that me telling you what skill it is doesn't really do anything for you. It's just so that you know generally what I'm asking for. Or what you're doing, rather.
It was a strong 4.
You hear what you think might be, rolling thunder in the distance.
Oh, no.
I don't think I've ever heard a player give a response that was that disheartened.
Dear.
It's a good thing that this one doesn't contain undead, because you'd be like, ghosts! That one got you, really?
Yes, because I get it. I'll kind of give Delilah this kind of the best oh shit face a 10-year-old can muster.
Delilah, you haven't heard anything yet, so you don't know what he's implying. You don't know what the oh shit face is. So you start to kind of look around wildly because you think the wolves might be back.
Is it more wolves?
No, but could be just as bad if that's a bad storm coming.
You kind of look at the sky. It's completely clear. The first stars are kind of starting to appear. The orangey glow in the distance.
Or I snapped one or the other.
Take a perception check for me, Delilah.
Take a perception check. And I've got a song. Oh! 18. That's actually the first decent roll of the night.
That's nice. The approaching sound of hooves, of horse hooves.
So Relland's just an idiot.
Well, you heard them from far off. She's had a few more seconds. And they are definitely coming this way.
Is there some bushes or shrubbery or whatever?
Yes.
I tackle my friend into the shrubbery.
Not the shrubbery!
Shrubs.
Just for fun fact, the shrubbery actually being referenced is a prostitute. because that's what they were called back in that day.
Oh,
It's slang
Okay.
for prostitute, because that's where you would take them.
So
Into
we're
the
diving
shadows.
into a prostitute now.
Well, it's
Or
called
girl.
spelunking, but yeah,
oh my
Or girl.
gosh.
it's a cave joke.
Why is my...
Um,
is anyone else getting weird cutting sounds at all? Like it's going... Meh.
no.
Okay,
No.
good. I'm glad you're recording then.
Okay, so you kind of dive into this bush, and looking down the hill, you see coming around a corner through the trees, um, a figure of what looks like a man on horseback riding pretty fast. As he gets closer, you kind of see that he looks to be looking around, cloak kind of billowing out behind him as he rides. Um,
Is there a road, or are they just out in the middle of...
there's a bit of a path up the hill, but not really.
How the shit did we miss that?
You've been kind of following it, but there's not like a real path. It's just kind of the clear area, you know.
I start to move like I'm gonna get out and go run out into the path.
I try and hold him down and keep him quiet.
Okay. If you guys
I
are
pull out
actually
a
competing
rock.
against each other, just brain them.
I don't know how to. I don't know how to stutter when being muffled.
He already sounds like
There it is.
so.
What are you guys actually? Is one of you actually trying to get out and the other trying to keep you in, like to the point where we need to roll strength
Yeah,
contest?
I'm moving to get up and run out. I may not have known that she was gonna grab me though.
Yeah, I am
Force
not
colors.
going. I am not going to.
You're not
to
going to try to
try.
keep him back?
Yeah, I am going. I'm
Oh.
not going to let him get out.
Okay. Contested strength, please.
Very early, so.
Relland got a 12.
I got a natural 20.
Oh,
Okay, well, you were going to get a bonus to that anyway because you are stronger than Relland. Being a dwarf.
Yeah.
You just put him on the ground.
So my face is in the dirt, and
Yeah, that's the-
I managed to
no.
set her out of fuck you.
The horse comes up slow, or it comes up in slows. The rider kind of making some sort of sound to it, and he looks around. You see that it's a man, maybe in his late 30s, early 40s, just a slight dusting of gray around a thick mustache and kind of close cropped hair. Almost looks like some of the military officers you've seen, but a little dirtier, a little bit more woodsman-y, kind of. He's wearing a pale green cloak and what looks to be kind of like a mustard or yellow ochre colored, sorry, not ochre, ochre colored, like tunic, with a little bit of a tuft of, we'll call it man fluff, just protruding a little bit at the neck.
Mhm.
He looks like a big man, not a fat or portly, but not like jacked or ripped. Just a big guy. On his back is and Relland, you can kind of see now from looking up at the bottom of the bush, where you're held on the ground under this dwarf. You see on his back the largest bow you have ever seen in your life. This is the elephant gun equivalent of like hunting bows.
It's like one of those anime bows.
It's more like the Rock's bow from Scorpion King.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I can dig that.
It's
this
not
like-
very ornate. It's not like an elven bow. It's not like a. Sorry, what, Lex?
Is this like the kind of bow you would use when you're hunting 10-year-old kids?
Like if you were going to take out a wagon ride of 10-year-olds, yes.
I
By
turned-
killing the wagon. He's got several quivers attached to the side of the horse. The horse is a rather impressive specimen as well. It looks like like the war horses that the officers sit on when they're riding through town on parade. This is not a workhorse. This is This is a big girl. Deep black coat, and like grayish colored mane, fairly long for a horse, swept kind of to one side. Fairly simple riding and saddle. The man has um, a small pack on the back of the horse, and you actually see now that he's kind of slowly riding past, because he's looking at the side of the brook. He's looking kind of out over the field, almost like he's searching for something. You see your packs on the back of his horse, and actually you see the glint of your butcher's knife, kind of tied down.
I jab Delilah in the ribs and I point at the packs.
Okay.
And he
kind of pull out my rock.
the man kind of uprights himself, and he's not looking at you. He's looking out, like opposite of you. He's kind of pulled up maybe about 20 feet from the bush, kind of even with it, and he's looking directly away. And he says out loud,
throw my rock.
As soon as he starts to make a sound?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and throw my rock and then rush for our packs.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Make a ranged attack. Are you trying to hit him, or are you just throwing it in like one direction?
Well, I'm not very good. No, I'm a child. I'm trying to hit him. 7. Sounds about right.
It like you throw and like clip the edge of the bush, and so it's one of those awful throws that like you're kind of embarrassed about. The man doesn't even turn. He just kind of starts again. And he goes, he just started to say, "Well, you almost."
It just ignores you.
Well, you almost made it where you were going. Not quite the right direction, but you got back on track. If you look out there, you can actually see the smokestacks. You were heading for the Dwarven holds, right?
Relland is still in the bush, trying to pretend like whatever Delilah didn't happen.
The man swings off his horse opposite side of you and kind of leads it along, and for the first time he comes into view. You estimate that he's probably a little under 6 feet tall, not quite as big as you thought originally. Not quite barrel-chested, but kind of a bigger guy. Big grin on his face under a very thick mustache. Like a good Wilford Brimley mustache. Not like a Tom Selleck mustache, but like a not less than that, but just not that quite that style.
You're so on this mustache. I love it.
No, it's very important that the mustache enthusiast be discussed.
I heard that's a big part of our demographic.
I would only hope. So he comes around and he kind of wipes one hand through his hair and flicks some sweat away, just cutting across the dirt of the ground. And he says, "You kids did pretty well for yourselves against those wolves. For a moment, I thought you had them."
Mm-hmm. Remember,
Relland.
You can come out of the bush now. I know you're both in there. I can literally see you.
Sheepishly,
he's like locked eyes with Delilah.
Sheepishly, Relland stands up.
Does Delilah allow Relland to stand up? You are on top of him.
I'm standing on top of him.
I have imagined that you're like got your knees on his back because you like put him on the ground.
I thought it was a foot. I imagined her just having like a boot.
That's fair too.
I'm like between my shoulder blades.
So it's your fault that I missed my throw. That makes sense. Yeah, I'll allow him to get up. I mean, the jack is up. I'm not talking to the guy, though. My parents told me not to talk to strangers.
So when Relland stands up, he kind of like nervously rubs his head is like completely, but like kind of patchily shaved all the way out. Like instead of dealing with the hair, my mother chose to just like cut it all off. So and he's just got like little bits growing back now here and there. So it just looks terrible.
I just wanted on record that you did this to yourself. I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine he just looks like a ratty kid, right?
Sure.
He kind of rubs his head kind of nervously and says, and just kind of looks at the guy.
He says, I've been following you for the last couple of days, trying to get your attention, put you back on the right path. But you just kept running.
We're not allowed to talk to strangers.
That's a good rule, by and large, but we're not strangers anymore. After all, I helped you with your wolf fight, and I knew your parents.
Wait, what?
He lets go of the reins.
Oh my god, wolf!
Oh god, they're back. They're back.
Roll initiative. Doing this. Maggie rules. He says, he kind of lets go of the reins, and the horse just kind of like starts eating some grass. And as he kind of walks past her, he pats her. He holds kind of his hand up in front of him, and he's got like a handkerchief in his hand, and he's kind of pats his brow, and he says, "Yeah, I knew a lot of the townsfolk where you guys are from."
All right,
Good.
sorry.
Okay.
All right, we're getting back into this. Get out of here, dogs, you turds.
Oh, were you not here?
Wolves.
I didn't know you weren't here.
No,
Okay.
I had to help. Sorry.
So he drops the reins of the horse. She kind of just starts eating some grass nearby. He pats her as he walks past, and he has a handkerchief in his hand. He kind of daps it across his forehead. And he says, "Yeah, I knew a lot of the townsfolk where you guys are from. Nice place. Nice place. It'll be nice again one day. That's the nature of this land. Comes and goes. Sadness one day, joy and hope the next." And he kind of gets down on a knee in front of you, and you're not really sure how he got this close. He seems to have covered the distance, not like whoosh, magically, but like enraptured. Fairly charismatic fellow. Like he kind of gets down on one knee in front of you, Relland, and he says, "Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt now, but soon enough, you'll be strong, just like your pappy. Walk in these woods." And he opens his hand. In the handkerchief is the cat figurine, and he holds it out to you. He says, "I think you dropped this."
I hesitate, and then I say, "Is Da still alive?"
He reaches, takes your hand, and holds it up, and puts the figurine in your hand and closes your fingers around it. And he says, "Your mom and dad will always be with you. But I'm sorry to say you will not see them again."
Relland kind of drops his head and goes quiet. Thank you.
He kind of pats you on the shoulder.
Why were you following us? Mister, I don't know who you are.
I imagine this little like dwarven girl with like her hands on her hips, staring up at this dude.
Well, after what happened to your town, I knew I owed it to the folk there to round up those I could and help you out. Promises made and promises kept, if you will. Now you're
Who are you then?
little Delilah, right?
Maybe?
He looks you in the eye and he holds out his hand, kind of flat for you, hoping that you'll take his hand. And he says,
To which one of us?
To Delilah, because this is a dwarven greeting, and the way he's holding his hand out to a lady is a dwarven greeting that Lex might remember from Shay meeting Roken in our other game. But
I did remember.
he says, "My name is Garad, but my friends call me Kamish. You're welcome to call me whatever you want, but I hope you'll let me be your friend."
Well, you could choose a friend. With tears in my eyes, and I respond to the greeting.
Oh.
Okay. He gives your hand a little squeeze, kind of at the end, which is not traditionally correct, but he is, not a dwarf after all. He looks to be just kind of an older human. As far as you can tell, I mean, you wouldn't think he was like a half elf or anything like that. And he kind of stands up and he looks around and he says, "Well, I bet you kids are hungry." I was going to say just cacophonous roaring. He said, "Why don't we set up a little camp at the top of that hill over there? And I tell you what, I've got a couple stories that I think you might enjoy about these very woods. And in the morning, if you want to, we'll head for your kin, or make other plans. Whatever you guys want."
Relland will look over to Delilah to kind of like a, what do you think, stare.
Delilah shrugs. Okay.
Relland shrugs. Okay.
He says, "Now, do you guys want to come with me and see this world? Leave behind some of these memories? Become stronger and help me make sure this never happens again?"
Relland tightens his hand around the figurine, and he kind of nods lightly.
And Delilah, now you see that you don't know when he got it, and you look to the back of the horse and it's not there, but he holds out to you in his other hand, not the one that was holding yours a moment ago. He holds out your father's knife, and he says, "Well, lass, what do you think? There's a lot I could teach you about this world, these woods here, that which doesn't belong in the night."
My eyes widen a bit, and I'll just very resolutely put my hand on the weapon.
He's holding it out to you for the handle to you. Obviously, he's holding the blade.
Yeah, I just don't want to rip it out of his hand.
Cut him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's got a +3 mustache or protection. You can't hurt him. Don't worry. And he says, "All right. We'll leave in the morning. I'm thinking we head west." It's been 8 months. You've traveled with Garad, or Kamish, as various people that he's met along the road who happen to know him have called him. From what you gather, it's short for Commissioner. You think it's a nickname he picked up from when he lived in the city. You get little tidbits of his backstory here and there. He tells you of days living in one day it might be the slums. One day, as far as the stories go, one night it might be. He tells you about living in the slums. The next night he tells you about dining with nobles in Seraphis, which is the capital of Darum, the great walled city. He tells you of the cathedral of the Celestium, It's magnificent architecture that the two of you can't even imagine coming from a relatively small town of field stones and thatch roofs. In these 8 months, he's taught you a fair amount. Uh, Relland, you're more comfortable with a bow than you've ever been. Um, Delilah, you know how to use the knife. He's also taught you both how to properly sneak around. Um, he's always been careful, specifically with you, Delilah, to make sure that the way that he explains how to use the knife, he never talks about using it on people. Um, but he does teach you the ways of planting the blade where it will do the most damage. But he always does it in a roundabout way. Um, how to burst out of ambush, attack your opponent, and take them down as quickly and silently as possible. Sometimes he'll call this humanely. And you're not really sure how hurting anyone could be humane, but you think you understand why he could call it that. Um, does this fit in line with what you'd like to learn from Garot? Or is this not quite where do you take a better control of your teachings and lead them elsewhere?
No, I'm open to his ideas.
Okay.
Relland seems to take to it as memories of his childhood and just the idea of hiding kind of attaches itself to him.
You'll also find that you're both sleeping better. Almost instantly from the moment that you entered Garad's presence. Um, he always made sure at the end of a long day, whether he was teaching you things or if you guys were just going through the woods, he taught you a lot about nature and survival, how to travel, how to be quick but efficient, what plants to eat, and all that. But he also started teaching you about kind of the history of where you live. Uh, it seems he's been all over this continent, places you've barely heard of. Um, everywhere from Altara to where you live in Near. And
Oh no.
no, no, you're good.
Okay.
The But that's why it's so much wilderness as opposed to close by
Mm-hmm.
other cities. Near's a little bit more sparse. Um, he tells you these grand myths of creatures of legend, of heroes long past, treasures buried deep in the world. Um, but he always makes sure that at the end of the night to put one of his big paws on your shoulders, usually both of you at the same time, and tell you that you did a good job. And for whatever reason, the tiredness of the day, any worries that you have, just kind of melts away until 8 months later, you have no remnants of the kind of the trauma. The stutter's gone. Delilah is no longer afraid of the dark because she has learned how to master it and knows that it's just another part of the day. She's even found her dark vision has gotten better. Um, the nightmares are still there. Um, Garad sometimes apologizes that he can't do anything about it. Um, but he tells you that with time, all wounds, at the very least, will scar over. Um, and he also tells you something at the campfire this night, 8 months later, and says, I think it's about time we went and stayed a while in a city. Would you guys like that? Get out of these woods for a while?
Well, uh, city. Like I ain't ever been anywhere bigger than the trading post near town.
Yeah, trading post near town. About the size of the front gate of where I want to take you.
Yeah, it sounds kind of nice.
Delilah?
I'd be happy to stay in the woods, but okay.
He kind of chuckles a little bit. Says, the woods are always nearby. Always time to return to them later.
Mm.
Besides, I
Okay.
think it's about time you guys got some new clothes.
What's
What's
wrong
wrong
with
with my?
our
We both want to say that.
You absolutely could not believe your eyes when you arrived at the gates of the city. The gates themselves are taller than the steeple of even the biggest um, town church you've seen in the last months, and certainly before that. Uh, each of the gates large enough to accommodate 4 wagons passing through, 2 in either directions at the same time. Uh, it's so astounding that you have to, or Garrod has to turn around and come back and get you, um, to bring you back into the, to get you to follow him. Otherwise, you would have been left behind. Um, Once inside, you can't believe the noise, the sights, the smells, just people everywhere. More people than you've ever seen in one place, and you're barely inside the gate and up the street. Um, Shops line every avenue. You look down an alley expecting to see just waste and refuse, and you see just more shops, little placards hanging, detailing all sorts of places to buy and sell. Clothing, silks. You see alchemists selling medicine. You see other services offering their wares. Uh, Relland, you stop for a moment in confusion until Delilah drags you along at a group of very well dressed, very beautiful women up on a balcony looking down and calling out to the men and women in the crowd. Um, Garad reaches a little square in the down the street, kind of opens up, and there's shops around it, and he kind of gestures and he says, uh, "Now, where would you kids like to go first? You can choose any shop you want. We got to get you some supplies after all. New clothes, maybe a good scrubbing once we find an inn to stay in."
Can Relland reaches up and he's like playing with the 8-month growth that he's uncomfortable with. He's like, "Can I get a haircut?"
Of course you can. We'll find a barber somewhere around here.
I pull out the butcher knives. I can help.
No, last time was not okay.
Oh, I'm still sorry about that.
It's okay. He kind of rubs the scar on top of his head.
In fairness, the sneak attack was executed perfectly. Um,
In your sleep, you still chopping them.
the
Hiya!
Garad turns to kind of like look around for a building, and then he takes a moment and kind of steps a little bit closer to you guys, out of the way of the street, and you see kind of around him what look like at first you think they're soldiers walking through the street, but they're not really in marching position. They're not quietly marching ahead the way like city guard would be, but they're dressed in like nice leather armor. Uh, they have weapons on their hips. They're kind of laughing to each other as they walk down the street. They all have matching greenish like cloaks across their shoulders, not like full like cloak, but like just cloth that kind of serves as like a mantle across their shoulder pads. Um, They look down at you with your little bow and the knife at your belt, and they kind of look for a moment, and then up at Garad, and then back down at you, and then they kind of laugh uproariously to themselves and continue on.
Relland straightens as they pass and gives them a dirty look. Who are those guys?
Well, I'd say those are maybe some caravan guards. Swords for hire. Kind of thing goes for good money. Why, you think that something interests you? Travel the world, make some money, protect some merchants, make sure they get where they're going nice and safe?
Not with them.
He laughs a little bit at that. Yeah, they do seem a little too clean for my tastes.
They were mean.
He says, honey, folks is just folks. Ain't no good, ain't no bad. Just folk.
Relland kind of snorts a little.
Like the folk that went after our hometown.
He gets very serious for a moment, as serious as you've ever seen him. And he looks down at you. It's almost a glare at first, but it softens almost immediately. And he kind of steps towards you. And for a moment, you just kind of instinctually think that you're gonna get punished. He's never raised a hand to you. He's never so much as raised his voice to you, other than when he needs to shout to get like some instructions to you, while training and whatnot. But he he gets down on one knee and he says, "Delilah, that weren't folk that attacked your home. That was pure evil. Most people aren't capable of that." And he says, "And when they are, you'll feel it here." And he kind of taps you, like kind of just under the shoulder blade. He says, "Right in your heart, and you'll know."
Okay.
And he starts to stand up and he kind of stretches and he says, "There's some people here. They live in a great big temple, train night and day, um, under the instruction and with the power of their gods. Same gods you had in your church back home. And those gods have granted them powers to see into the hearts of men and women like you and me. Is that something you'd like to learn, Delilah? How to root out evil?"
I think I would like to know whether I'm dealing with evil or not.
Did your parents tell you much about the gods? My voice is starting to break trying to do that. Jesus, sorry.
You're
That's
good.
okay. I'm impressed you managed to kept it up for that long.
Oh, the voice. Yeah, no, yeah, it's very hard.
Uh, well, my parents told me a bit what what, what dwarves do for fate.
Gaima, Geld, Hadron, depending on whether they go back to the Forge Father, if they go to the God of Justice, if they go to kind of the Odin-esque god of the lands, or some fringe elements of dwarves go for Gygus. It's also the god of giants and earth elementals, but is in exile, so he's technically not a creator god anymore.
Yeah, I never really went to church, so I don't really know what the humans in town
Yeah, no, probably
did
never
for
would have gone
us.
to their services.
Yeah.
Dwarves tend to revere Gaima. It's kind of that's like their more. It's like Moradin, essentially, um, or the overall creator god. the king of the gods, I guess, as it would be. But he's also the Forge Father, so that has a lot of dwarven tie-in. Like I said, there's Geld, who's kind of like the paladin god. Also the god of dragons, and essentially justice and good. Uh, until you get into like the so those are two of the greater gods, the like the major gods of the pantheon. There's six creator gods. Then there's the smaller pantheon where there's the 26 others, where like Bobby's character in the other game worships Valkyrie, goddess of warriors. So there's all of those as well, but dwarves tend to revere mostly Hadron, who's kind of the god of the earth. He's kind of like the Odin-esque Norse god, or like who else is a good example? Or he's kind of like the old man wandering the wilderness type god. Um, he's kind of one of the father figures of that pantheon of the Celestium, which are the minor gods, or just not the major gods, depending on how you want to view it. And none of this has to be important. It's just
Yeah, I never paid too much attention to the gods. I was too busy with, keeping an eye on my friends and the shop. They were mostly just stories for me. But if it will help you find evil, this evil you're talking about, yeah,
you kind of.
that,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
that took our family, yeah.
He kind of dabs at his head with his handkerchief and says, "Well, it's not the only way." Um, and he kind of says, "All right, let's go over here." And he kind of leads you on, and a little while later, Round, you emerge back out into the street with a freshly shaved head, nick free
My
and
hair!
lotion.
Sorry.
Delilah, they offered to clean your hair and braid it up for you if you wanted.
Oh yeah, cool. No, absolutely.
They actually have a woman who works there who has some dwarf friends, so she actually knows how to braid your hair in proper styles for a city dwarf. It essentially ends up being fairly Star Wars royalty esque, but it's out of the way and clean and braided. So it's like braided loop upon braided loop upon braided loop.
Oh, okay.
In a cool way, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't look bad. Looks great. Not quite what you're used to, but
Relland looks over at Delilah and says, "I don't think I've ever seen you this clean before."
Likewise.
Fair enough. He rubs his freshly shaved head with his long scrawny arms.
um, Grod says we should probably see to get some lodging for the night. Make sure we have a place to stay before the city fills up.
Fills up.
I think each of you has earned your own bed.
Good, because Delilah snores.
He leads you to a building kind of down the street and walks in and plops a little baggie on the table, and you hear it kind of jingle. And money's not something you really ever talk to Gerard about. Um, but he says, he tells the woman behind the counter, "We'd like 3 rooms, please." And she looks and she says, "One for each of you?" And he says, "Absolutely. And if you could please have some hot water brought up to these two." And he turns around for a moment and he says, "No, I'm serious. Bathe thoroughly and then we can go and we can explore the town a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay.
And as you kind of follow the woman up the stairs, he yells after you, "Behind the ears!"
Yeah.
We're not children. She.
So after you're all cleaned up and you meet back with Grodd and he takes you out to the town, you eat fine food, very well prepared. You've never been to a restaurant before, so this is all kind of a new experience. When you got out of your baths, you found that there was clean tunics with like nicely woven patterns around the collars, kind of mosaic-esque. Little like square patterns, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not just simple cloth. This is dyed and colored. Loose fitting and comfortable. It's kind of a warm season right now, so it's nice to not feel like you're sweating under heavy things, and it occurs to you that you're able to leave your stuff in your room and it'll be safe, and you hear the nice click of the lock on your door as you leave.
I keep the figurine on me though.
Sure. And you go out with Gerard, and where is it that you guys would like to go?
I kind of whisper into Delilah's ear. I say, I haven't had candy in forever. What do you think?
I don't really want to push for candy.
Okay. He kind of stands back up over her.
As you kind of get to the front room, Gerard kind of steps out in the street, looks around, turns back to you, and holds out in each hand what looks like a little cloth purse. And he holds them out to you, and when you don't reach out for them, he shakes them, and you hear the little jingle of coins inside.
Hmm?
And he says, "I can't take you everywhere. You guys got to learn to navigate these places on your own."
Canto. Relland gives Garrod a very shrewd look at that point.
You got to do the shopping, Relland. Go get some snacks. Anything that you think you might want for traveling. Anything you might need if we stay in the city for a bit. This is your money. You've earned it these last 8 months.
I take my coins. How much is it?
If you kind of open the purse and look inside, you just immediately see enough gold coins to know that you can buy a lot of candy.
Nice. A lot of candy worth of gold.
Delilah.
As coppers.
Thank you. I'll take the.
And he kind of looks down at you and says, at both of you, and says, "Now remember, spend what you want on what you want. But make sure you also get what you need. Woods will get awful rough if you don't have the supplies."
Well, won't you be there with it?
"Of course. Doesn't mean I'm going to help you."
Okay.
He says, "Remember, do you want to sleep on the ground? Or do you want to sleep in a bedroll? Do you want to carry all your stuff in your arms? Or in a nice pack on your back? Do you need torches for when it gets dark? What if we have to bed down in a cave?" And he looks at you and he says, "After all, I gave you some weapons that you could use, but it might be time to get something a little better."
Hmm. Hmm.
There's a lot of caravan guards in this town. A lot of people who need weapons. Get yourself some
Okay.
tools. Get yourself something to protect yourself. After all, there's wolves in those woods. He kind of guffaws at himself and then chuckles as he walks down the street, and he waves back before he kind of like disappears into the crowd.
I'm glad someone is having fun.
Relland is a lot less sure of himself all of a sudden now that he's in this city and Garrod is not around. Oh,
Don't worry. We're still together, right?
always, I hope. Where should we go?
Well, I guess some supplies and this bag for the bag that he was talking about might be a good start.
I think you're right. Something to carry everything we get is a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
All right. Go ahead and list out, and you can write these on your character sheets if you want to, kind of just what you think you're going to buy.
Right.
So you can do like a traveler's pack. You don't have to list out everything. I mean, we can soup this up. So
Right.
traveler's pack. If one of you wants one of the other kits from the one of the guidebooks, that's fine too. Don't worry about the prices and all that. The other option, of course, being if you wanted to pick up some other gear, weapons and the like. Obviously, you have the butcher knife, but he's also been teaching you how to use a dagger that he had to replace that, and when you kind of were using your strength more than your finesse, he gave you a little short sword that he had in his pack, Delilah. So you've been using that, but it's not yours. You always feel kind of like he's lending it to you. You realize this might be your chance to get something else or something more comfortable in your hand.
Right, yeah. Okay, that's a good idea.
So, torches, rope, a short sword. I'm buying a good short bow instead of this little makeshift one or whatever I have. Like this. A deck of cards. Seems good for boredom on the way. A bedroll. Does that come in the traveler's pack?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he just kind of runs down the street wearing all his stuff and yells out, "I'm going on an adventure!"
Exactly. A ring with mythical carvings in it. A cloak.
And like, roughly how much candy?
Probably like a small pouch full.
Okay. Delilah.
Yeah. Also get a traveler's pack and
Oh, I'm sorry, real fast. Relland, what kind of clothing did you buy, if any?
I wanted to buy, because does Garrod have a cloak? Did you say he did?
You guys have been well, yes, no, he has a big, like, kind of darkish green cloak.
I try to buy something that looks similar to his.
Yeah, no, you can easily get something like that, yeah. Alright, Delilah, what do you get?
yeah, I'll buy a traveler's pack and I like some sturdy clothes.
Like traveling clothes?
Yeah.
Now you find yourself with an option. You see that there are some dwarven merchants that you can buy wares from. get something a little bit more in that style. Or
Oh
you can buy
yes.
from the human merchants, who also make
No.
clothing for your size.
No. I've tried that in the past, and no.
It's always writing up in weird places. Yeah, no, I know.
Definitely.
All right, so you get some sturdy. It's actually not dissimilar to what you're wearing now. Fairly light and breathable, with kind of mosaic style patterns on it. Kind of a metallic shimmery thread here and there. They also attempt to offer you many things for your hair. Various rings and beads and clips and whatnot.
I wouldn't mind something like a ring or something from a braid to weigh it down a bit. It doesn't get too much in the way.
Yeah, you have amazing choices when it comes to that. Just basically anything you could want. The whole gamut of, a few copper worth to way more than you have in your pouch.
Okay, I'll just take something simple. And I would like I'll take a sword.
Okay.
Um,
Like a long sword or like a short sword or.
I'll take a long sword.
Okay.
One more thing Relland wanted to get was a green bandana to wrap around his forehead to keep the sweat out of his eyes, because it really annoys him.
Okay. It doesn't quite match the green of your cloak, but
That's all right.
you feel that you're fairly well outfitted, the two of you.
Oh, what about some dried meat? That too.
All right. You head back to the inn, all excited to show Garad your wares. You
Oh, and food, yeah, we also need food.
Yeah.
And like bat rolls and all that, but I assume that's all in the traveler's
Traveler's Pack
pack.
has rations for 5 days and other stuff, and Garad has taught you guys to hunt a little bit better. Kind of hone your skills there, how to survive off the land and whatnot. He ensured that you guys knew that before you got to town. When you return, you're getting ready to kind of head up, and the woman at the front desk stops you and he says, "Oh, miss, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name."
I'm Delilah. Hello.
Oh, well, your hair looks lovely.
Thank you.
Miss Dwarf, that man you were with earlier, he left a note, and asked me to give it to you guys. And she hands you like a little parchment piece of paper with a wax seal on it. Fairly nice for what you're used to from Garage. So you don't know if he just got it from them and they did concierge service on it and whatnot. After all, I mean, they did fill a tub with hot water for you, so maybe they can do this as well. The note has a wax seal on it. The wax is a deep green color with what appears to be the indentation of some sort of ornate tree, almost kind of dwarven rune in its construct, but not quite. Way too ornate for that, but not in the flowy script of elves. You're not really sure what this is. And set into the center of that is another red daub of wax that has an axe crossed with a sword. This is a symbol you've not seen. You don't know what this means, and so you're gonna need to open it to get to the letter inside.
Is this a bad time to share that Delilah can't read?
Well, so Garad would have taught you a little bit along the way.
Yeah.
He gave you. You may not have noticed it at the time, but he gave you relatively decent schooling. Delilah, you most likely would have been taught how to read and write Dwarvish. Certainly, you're fluent in it, as well as Common. You might mess up. You might mess up every once in a while, but I mean, you're there. As far as reading common, he probably worked with you along the way. Looking back on it, maybe not your 10 or 11-year-old selves, but later on in life, you might realize how much he really did kind of teach you in the ways of general knowledge, not just about survival, but also like reading and general, how to convert copper to silver and other sort of things like that. Really anything that kept your minds from wandering during the journey, he would use that time to kind of teach you something.
All right. I'll look at. I'm sorry, I still don't remember the name of your character.
Relland.
Relland. Relland. Relland. Relland. I look at Relland with like a face of I don't know what's going on here, with a little shrug. Should I open this?
Rowan, he kind of looks a little sad. He says, "Yeah, I think you should."
Are you okay?
You're gonna go ahead.
We'll find out.
Okay. I'll open it with a little bit nervously, like I'm expecting bad news.
Are you gonna crack the seal, or are you trying to like scooch up under it with your dagger, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I'll carefully open it.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were trying to preserve the seal or not.
Yeah. They look pretty.
Kind of pry it off a little bit, and you open it and unfold the letter, and in very nice handwriting, you see it says, friends, comma. I hope you have prepared well, and I hope you were frugal enough to save some of your money. In 2 weeks' time, leave the city through the same gate where we entered, and we shall continue our journey from there.
I look at the other side of the letter, side of the paper, see if the letter continues.
It does not. That is it.
That's it.
But it is signed in the corner, your friend, always.
He didn't put Garrod.
He didn't know.
Hmm.
I hand Relland the letter.
I'm holding it upside down. Oh, shit. I got it now.
So, 2 weeks, you are on your own in town.
2 weeks. What is he doing? Why does he want us to do this?
It pans across town to just the giant wooden hot tub with just like 4 women. Just a big cigar and drinking. It's like, I love this town! No, that doesn't happen.
Suddenly his accent is gone.
Yeah. Gonna play. Well, now what?
Is this a test? Did he leave us?
The woman behind the counter says, when you're ready, that's not her voice. She says, when you're ready, the fare for tonight is taken care of, but I'll understand you'll be staying with us for a few weeks, and that total does come to 25 gold for each of you.
Do we have that?
You have about 15 left.
Anto kind of.
Relland.
We could.
This is why
Relland.
Lex doesn't remember your name, by the way.
This is why. Relland. Kanto is trapped somewhere in a different dimension. Relland looks over and it's like, well, we could either combine rooms or find a cheaper place.
Even if we combine, we still wouldn't have enough money.
Yeah,
that?
you'd have 5 left over. If you have 15 each.
No, we have 15 each.
Yeah.
That's a better plan than I had. And these 5 gold enough to live off for? Well, we have rations for 5 days, but it's. We can make that 10, I guess, if we eat carefully.
Yeah. This place feels safer, but I don't know. What do you think? Should we stay here or should we try to find something a little cheaper?
Cheaper might be better. Don't you think?
I guess, yeah. Just
She says,
okay.
so you will not be needing your rooms after tonight.
Well,
yes.
can we have the night to think about it?
She says, I will need to know first thing in the morning because we have a lot of people coming through.
Well, you suddenly got very gruff.
I thought she was pretty soft still.
He turns. I'm not getting these little shits money. That got you.
I don't want to know what's happening.
Lex is happy, and that's all that matters.
Sorry, I found it really fun.
Okay, let's what time is it? Is it late now?
It's evening, yeah.
Okay. Well, what the hell do we do for 2 weeks?
Find a job?
I guess, yeah, that sounds smart.
Who would
Maybe
hire us?
I don't know. What about that I don't know. I kind of got distracted, but Garad was talking about them folk that can sense evil. Maybe we could like find a job sweeping or doing menial tasks, and maybe we can try to figure out how they do it.
Oh yeah, they're probably churchy people, right? So do
Yeah,
the
they
things with
usually.
the God.
Ma and I used to go to the church. She was a little religious, but I just went because it gave us a meal while Da was out hunting or doing whatever he did when he didn't come home for days.
Why does he have an accent when he starts talking about his mom?
He says Da and Ma.
No, but I mean,
That's
like,
what
you
he
had an
called it.
accent through that for the first time.
If I did, maybe it just like jumped on. I don't know.
You got, like, Southern kid all of a sudden.
Well, back in my day, when we was
Oh, God, I'm not
youngins
going to be able
and
to do
Pa and
Garad's
Ma
voice
used
anymore.
to chase the raccoons off the porches. Sorry. I think as soon as I said Ma, it just came in. But I figured we could just, maybe we can work with helping them out, and then we could see if we could get some insight in how they do what they do.
That's a good idea. Let's do that. And if we can get a job, we might be able to keep this room.
Yeah, or maybe those church people will give us a place to stay. Who knows?
Yeah.
They usually like the little, we could play the orphan angle.
Good idea.
All right. So get a meal and head off to bed.
Yeah. Do your best. Get up early.
Sounds good.
When you wake up in the morning and you go downstairs, the woman behind the desk greets you with pleasantries and asks you how you slept, and then she eventually kind of says, "So have you decided to stay with us?"
We appreciate your hospitality, but I think we're going to look elsewhere.
And you kind of look around and you notice that the kind of like the sitting room is full of people. Like entirely too many people. And she says, very well then. And she looks over at a gentleman and says, Sir, your rooms will be ready soon. And she looks back at you and says, I am sorry to rush you, but you will need to gather your things and leave as soon as possible.
I don't like staying in one place too long anyways. Should we go?
Yeah.
All right.
I liked it here, but...
You go outside and the streets are just brimming with people. It's like 3 times more packed than it was yesterday. And it suddenly occurs to you that Garrod had said something yesterday about getting here and getting rooms before the crowds came. And you kind of get a twinge of fear as you start to wonder if there really will be room anywhere for you in such a crowded city. Where would you like to go?
Try to find one of those places that he spoke of, where the people fight the evil. You can detect the evils.
In one of the temples?
Yeah.
Right, so you kind of ask around, and you get pointed towards a large cathedral at the end of a street. And you go in, and it's packed with people. And you see a couple priests walking the aisles, speaking with those who stop them. Lots of candles in corners and whatnot.
Oh, crap! I just realized we're well dressed and cleaned.
It was all a trick.
Oh yeah, no, he played you well.
I don't really feel comfortable talking to these people.
We need a job.
Yeah. Can you do it?
You can try.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay. I'll just look for someone who isn't too busy. Who looks priestly or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, there's a younger man in oh my god, what are they called? A Cossack robe type thing. Basically like a Franciscan friar type getup. Except he has hair. It's actually long and drawn back into essentially what is a loose ponytail or braid. And he has a medallion hanging on his neck on like a strand of leather. And he's speaking to someone, an older couple, on one of the aisles. But then he kind of finishes talking to them, and as he turns to continue walking, you're kind of standing there in front of you, and he looks down at you, and kind of smiles and opens his eyes, and kind of like a, okay, yeah, yes, what can I do for you type look.
Excuse me, sir. Me and my friend are on our own here, and we're kind of looking for a job for a week or two. Is there anything we can help you with? Church with? Please?
He says,
And I put on my very sad face.
okay, roll a persuasion check.
Persuasion. 16.
Oh.
Okay. You he looks down at you and he says, well, I don't believe we're really looking for work at the moment, but I'm sure if you children are hungry, we can see what food is available in the orphanage.
Where you don't need cleaning or sweepers.
I'm sorry that the children take care of that normally for us.
Okay.
So,
Abort! Abort!
He says, there are some shops down the street that perhaps if you ask, they are looking for some help for a few coins. But with all the people in the city this week, I don't know that there are many openings.
you don't think they would need extra help? What with the busy season?
Most people are taking. Most local businesses have planned for this, and we're ready with
What's
laborers and whatnot.
so? What's going on?
He says, this is the celebration of the room's independence, the unification of all the cities.
Okay. One more thing. Is it true that you can tell when someone's evil just by looking at them?
He kind of recoils a little bit and is like, what? And he says, who? Where are you children from?
We're not from anywhere anymore, sir.
He kind of looks at you a little bit and says, do you have I'm sorry, do you have someone with you?
Not at the moment.
No?
He said he's coming back though. I'm sure he will.
Yes, I'm sure.
Nice.
Let me.
He said he's going to get some cigarettes.
I don't know what those are. Do you mean breadsticks?
There you go.
The he says, if you'd like, I can speak to the head father and see if we can make arrangements for you to stay here with us.
He looks to Delilah again, unsure.
He says, you wouldn't have to worry about food or shelter. You'd be able to live with us until you are grown. And he kind of gets down on one knee and he says, we've had many orphans come to us. Those with no other place to go. We can take you in, I believe. The matrons and the sisters will teach you, and we can tell you all about. And he kind of gestures towards the wall and the stained glass windows and the tapestry. He says, we can tell you all about the gods and their plans for you, and why, and how you can live your life to the fullest, no matter what has happened to you in the past. Would you like that?
Turn to page 168 if you say yes. Yeah.
Oh God, I didn't take my hand off the page. You seen it?
That's awesome. I look at Delilah again and I say, "What do you think? Should we stay here for a little bit?"
He hears that and he says, I'm sorry, I perhaps didn't make myself clear. I don't want to sound ominous, but if we were to take you into our care, it would be until you were grown. We would not be able to let you go again. We would have to see to you as wards. The free cities would ensure that you are educated and fed and well cared for and loved as best as we can, but you would have to stay here. If you really are if you really have no place to go, I must urge you to stay with us so that you will be taken care of. It is far too dangerous, not only in this city but beyond.
Well, before I make a decision, when you look at me, what do you see? And he's alluding to the special abilities.
Oh, so he says, he kind of looks at you for a moment and he says, I see a young man who is not quite sure where he's going to go, but who will learn in time what it is that makes him and his friend, and he looks at Delilah and smiles, happy, and how they can give back what will be given to them.
So I kind of, excuse me, just one moment, please.
He says, no problem, but please make your decision quick, as we do only have 2 more hours.
And I take Delilah aside and I say, well, what should we do? What do you think?
I don't trust them.
You don't?
Oh. Then again.
Do you
You have a slight flashback to the time that sitting next to a river, eating salmon caught in the waters, you watched Garrod wrestle a bear without a shirt on.
What?
Neither the bear nor Garrod had a shirt. The bear had torn the shirt off of Garrod because Garrod did not want to share his salmon with the bear. It's just a quick flashback to your time in the woods. Don't worry about it.
That was weird. Did you have the same flashback?
Yeah, no, you both had it at the same time.
Well, okay. That's fair. I trust your judgment. But we got to find somewhere to lay low. Maybe Garrod will come get us back. Maybe, I don't know if I trust the church type either. It's a big commitment.
Yeah, especially for an entire life.
Maybe we could, find a slightly less conspicuous place to spend our time till Garrod comes back.
Or we can just stay in the forest again. That worked for a while. Just the 2 of us.
Yeah, we could. You feel good doing that? Think we could do it?
I think we can, but everything around us told us, yeah.
Yeah, this city kind of gives me weird feelings anyways. Maybe we stick around for the day to see what this uh, thing is for a celebration, and we head back out in the woods.
Just you and me. That sounds good.
All right, I can do that. But first, um, maybe we should get something like a fishing pole or something if we're gonna be out there.
Yeah, good idea.
All right. So,
And a
we'll
tent.
what?
And a
Tent.
tent.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll politely decline the priest's offer.
And he will say, "Don't forget, children. You can always have a home here. Um, the orphanage was founded to take care of children who had no place to go."
Appreciated.
He kind of gives you a slightly worried look, but he kind of smiles through it. Um, and then kind of raises up his hand in a particular way, not just like up, but like he's making a sign of something. Um, you think you've seen priests do things like this before, um, but he says, "Be safe, children, and may Gilgarn watch over you."
Yeah, you too. Not knowing what to say. And, quickly shuffle out
Okay.
and go find a fishing pole. That could be collapsible.
Right. There's a harbor and a lake in town, and near there you are able to find some fishing supplies and all that.
Excellent.
And then are you heading for the city gates?
Did we hear anything about anything like any events happening or
Well,
overheard anything, or is it just?
so you do see lots of people in the streets. There are also like performers here and there, like some people
Mhm.
dancing, various kind of street performers. There are some colorful carts that kind of have more of a circus vibe to them, and you know, men in top hats and women in like fancy dresses try to lure you in to see their show and give coin and all that. Um, there's also various shop owners and people in the city. They seem to be hanging streamers and whatnot across the street. You see, when you went to buy the fishing pole, you see what looks like a large barge um, out in the. There's just cats everywhere. You see a large barge out in the kind of the bay.
Okay. I don't really see anything that's catching my eye. Feel like I should enjoy what's going on right now, but I don't really care for it.
Yeah.
Maybe we just take the
Well,
time with the busy city and get out of here.
yeah, we can buy some extra rations maybe with the money that we're saving.
Yeah, I think
Then
that's
find a nice spot to camp.
okay. You and me, let's do this.
All right, you head towards the gates. There's kind of a stream of people in. Not quite as many people leaving. The occasional cart will leave, um, mostly empty, as if they were bringing in various things and dropping them off. A few have maybe a couple wares not fully loaded. You expect that this is more of an import time than an export time. And as you start to pass through the gate, you hear a gruff voice kind of behind you. "Hey, you!" You kind of turn back and you see a guard, a city guard in armor, his little pot helm and his spear in his hand, and he's looking directly at the two of you. And he says, "Where are you going?" Where are your parents?
They're waiting for us outside the gate. We're gonna go meet them and go for a picnic.
No, no. We can't allow children to leave the city unattended.
Look at Delilah. And then bolt.
Yeah.
Stop! Stop, children!
We were made
Franklin,
to play
stop
these
them!
characters, Lex.
Yeah.
You see another guard kind of deeper in the gate itself, like the thickness of the wall and the passageway between the two portcullis ends is about 20 feet. And you see a guard at the other end in his tabard and livery, and he kind of looks down. He wasn't expecting to be called from inside the gate. He's a little confused, and he looks up, almost does like a "who, me?" kind of thing, like pointing to himself before he kind of realizes where he is, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he taps his spear on the ground, and he looks around, and he hears a shot, and he says, "Children." And he looks at you guys, and he looks at Delilah for a moment. And he's like, "No, just a dwarf." "No, children!" And he like lunges for you guys. Make dexterity saves.
Oh, man.
We got this.
Oh, yes, we do. Natural 20.
Okay.
I got a 17.
Oh!
You both dodge out of the way as he tries to grab you, and his spear clatters to the ground. His helmet kind of tumbles down the road in front of you. You kind of accidentally kick it along as you run. You guys take off into the woods. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Sorry.
I immediately
We'll be
pictured
back.
that scene from Home Alone where he like slides across the lake and goes on. Sorry.
And you kind of make a break for it. How far would you like to go?
Well, we know enough about the woods that we can, double back on our trails and cover stuff up, and we don't really need to go that far from the city as long as we hide our paths well.
As you kind of spend a little bit of time, you don't see anyone following you.
Okay. Still. Being careful.
Preferably a place near the water, I guess, right?
Yeah.
We can fish and all that.
You kind
For
of
sure.
make your way around, not really having realized how big town was. From the exterior, and you walk for quite a while with the wall just in sight, so you can kind of go. Eventually, it goes out into the water. There's a little bit of space between kind of some rolling hill and the wall where you could kind of get down to the water in the shadow of the wall. There are guard towers along the wall, maybe every like 100 feet or so.
Okay.
And occasionally you see a spear tip or a face look over. But over here on this side, there's not travelers. But the road was quite busy with people coming in and out.
That's an improvement. I don't know. I've been thinking as we kind of settle down near the water, right? We're near water still. And with all this stuff that Garrod has taught us, I've been getting the itch to find out what those things were. He never really would tell us.
Yeah, but the entire town couldn't stand up against them. What are we going to do?
I guess maybe you have a point. And he kind of rubs his head again, kind of skewing his bandana on accident. It'd still be nice to, pay him back or something. Just don't know how to do that.
Well, I share your sentiment, but yeah, I don't think we're What are two kids going to do,
I don't know. We don't even act like two kids.
right? Like I feel like I'm 30 years old.
I feel like I'm 32. It's crazy.
Meta. Well,
Well, maybe
Karen has
we.
helped.
What's that?
Karen has helped us as much as he has already. Maybe if he comes back, no, when he comes back, well, he'll be able to help us with this. You think he'd want to?
Well, I know he's got things he's not telling us, and I know he knows more about what happened than he's wanted to let on. Maybe if we prove ourselves by not dying over the next 2 weeks, he'll tell us more.
Yeah, that's probably correct. I mean, I assume this is a test from him anyway.
Maybe. I do hope he comes back. What was up with those seals? Can I see the letter?
Sure. Hand him the letter.
And it was like, said one was sort of a dark green, almost dwarven runics in nature.
No, the mosaic design of like a tree
Okay.
has like the straight or like rectilinear qualities of like dwarven runes, rather than being like a nice picture of like ooh flowy tree.
Okay. And the other one was an axe and a sword cross that we didn't recognize.
Yes.
Okay. So I think, and I don't know if I feel okay doing this, but I think it might be in our interest to find out what these mean.
Yeah, I'm curious.
But we might. I also kind of want to wait until there's not so many people in the city.
I'm not sure we even can make it back into the city. Not with the guards. I'm afraid they'll just grab us and drag us off to the orphanage or something.
Yeah, I'd like to see him try.
No, feisty.
Well, we could always sneak in the back of a wagon when we need to go back in.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. But do we know how long this festival lasts or whatever it is?
You don't. You think at least the week.
Well, we could survive in the forest for a week.
That's true, easily.
Yeah.
Easy cake.
We already have the food for it.
6 hours later.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so bored.
We ate all the food. What happened?
Just bags of candy. Oh god.
It's a rations, not candy.
So, how would you like to spend the next 2 weeks in the woods?
Can we spend 1 week?
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
then go back, try to sneak back in and learn about those seals?
Maybe. Yes. Learn about the seals.
I think Relland would spend time practicing shooting his bow, hunting, tracking animals for fun, sparring when they're bored with Delilah, playing cards. Just kind of going through, like, he's had these, like, Garad has been, teaching them for 8 months.
Yes.
And so we developed a pattern of, like, okay, you get up in the morning, you take care of this, you go do this, you go hunt, and you do some sort of training, and just cycling through the trainings that he's taught us day by day. At least that's what Relland would do. And sneaking candy here and there.
Yeah, just fishing and practicing swordplay and all that.
All right.
Maybe working out a bit because buff female dwarves are hot shit.
All right.
Yeah.
That evening, when night falls, you are startled and kind of traumatically scared as there are massive explosion sounds in the sky and the walls light up. And as you look out to see...
It's happening again!
Yeah, thinking that you're being attacked. You see these explosions of colors, lights that just kind of trickle as if stars are exploding in the sky over the bay. You can't quite see where they're coming from, and you can barely see some of them as they pop over the wall and whatnot. The slightest, faintest hint of music kind of echoes across the water as well. And this
Sounds like they're
continues
having
for
fun.
a couple hours every night of the week.
Oh, God.
There goes a rest.
About 3 days in, you are napping in your tent, and you are awoken by what sounds like snapping twigs.
I will look over to see Delilah, who is awake, correct?
Yes.
And basically rolling out of the tent with the bow ready, scanning.
Okay, so if Delilah was on watch,
Oh,
if I'm asking, I don't know why she would have been awake otherwise.
Sure,
You
yeah.
Sleep.
That sounds about right.
She kind of motions you over, and you see a couple figures moving through the woods. One is holding a knife, the other's holding a small axe or like a hatchet kind of thing, and one has what looks like a little bow. So 3 guys, and they're kind of, you can see them craning their necks and they're looking, and one kind of signals to the other and kind of gives a shh as the twig snaps, and then all of a sudden one of them kind of looks upright and he looks at it and he says, "Hey, it's just some kids." And the other one goes, "Oh, okay, this will be easy." And he kind of takes a few steps forward. It's fairly dim light because it's late evening, and he says, "Hey kids, you shouldn't be outside the wall at night. It's dangerous. You never know who can come out."
We're still close to the wall, though, right?
You're not like in its shadow. I presume you're kind of in the woods, and there's a space
Yeah.
between the wall and the woods, so that nothing
Yeah.
can just like jump out of the woods at the city.
Relland has his bow knocked and says, "Maybe you shouldn't sneak up on people."
"Oh, sorry, we didn't mean to scare you. We're just looking for a little bit of help. You see, we came to celebrate like everyone else, and running a little low on money. We were hoping maybe you could help us out." But he kind of signals back to his friends, and they all kind of lower their weapons a little bit, and he says, "We thought you guys might be dangerous, so we wanted to approach carefully, but you know, what do you say?
Yeah.
Can you help us out?"
Well, if we had money, we wouldn't be sleeping outside the city, would we?
He kind of looks at you and he says, What about that nice gold ring you have in your hair? Something like that I think we could sell for some food, eh, boys? And that clothing's pretty nice. I bet you have more stuff like that, right? After all,
Nope.
anything helps." And he kind of takes a couple steps forward.
Relland looks behind. Now, how thick is the trees?
Not very. There's a tree probably every like 8 feet.
So I couldn't try to just like sidestep behind trees if I wanted to.
You could dash for like kind of dive for a tree if you wanted to, but
As he steps forward, the bow comes up and is drawn back. Says, no further, please.
he kind of smirks and says, "Well, look, kid, it doesn't have to be like this. Why don't you
You're
run
right.
along? And the guards will make sure you're nice and safe back in the city."
Maybe that's where we'll take you.
The smile fades, and he says, "Oh well, just another brat in the woods." He says, "Do it," and the guy behind him raises his bow. Roll initiative.
Oh no. I have opinions about your diplomacy skill.
They're not good. They weren't meant to be good. Why do you think he told you to talk to everybody?
I've got 14.
I got 17.
Rel and Del. Easy. All right.
Oh, nice.
Um.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
And of course, I'm saving the song for when I have a really good version of it to do. Rel, it's your turn.
Del.
As the guy raises his bow, I shift from the lead dude and try to shoot that guy in the arm.
Okay. A, you've never attacked a human or
Yes.
person. B,
No.
you're trying to aim carefully. Roll disadvantage.
Garad told us that we got the distinct impression that fighting people is not good. Wow, 2 15s. So not bad.
Okay. You're gonna hit him. Not quite where you were aiming, but you're gonna hit him.
Right in the face.
In the throat.
Oh god.
No, you hit him in the shoulder. You were kind of aiming a little bit further down, but you hit him in the shoulder. Roll a d6.
4.
You do a little bit of damage, and you see the blood trickle out the wound, and you are not quite sure how to feel about that. Delilah.
Not good. Oh, can I dash away?
No.
No. Okay,
Yeah,
I guess
so
I'm not.
you guys are limited as children and kind of.
Oh yeah, I guess we're not like full fledged.
Yeah.
Battle hardened warriors who can shoot on the move.
No, I kind of imagine that you're pretty firmly planted on like your back leg, like kneeling, and you're like, oh shit, shoot. Delilah.
Well, the fighting is happening, so I guess I'll scream as loudly as I can. Hopefully draw the attention of the guards on the walls. And run at the closest guy who was talking. I'll just... I don't know.
Freaking longsword wielding child dwarf. I love it.
Quite large. Roll dexterity because you need to be able to draw this weapon as you move.
Wow. Oh wow, 9. I can't even draw the weapon.
No, actually, you have a slight bonus to dexterity, so you're good. So you draw it, but awkwardly. Roll to attack with disadvantage. Not because you're necessarily afraid to attack him, but because you're off balance. Agreed. How are you sharp again? No. You're getting clipped. Tomorrow night. Yes. What? What's happening?
11.
Who dare? He's gonna like kind of bat that away and kind of dodge to the side and say, "Careful, girl."
You get away from us! Scream. I don't actually go to scream.
I immediately regret this decision.
Now it's their turn. And that lead guy is going to plant a foot squarely in your side and back because you kind of like ran past him because you're overbalancing and small. He's going to kick you in the back. He is not going to roll well though. And he's basically just kind of going to push at you. And that's about it. And he chuckles. Oh, sorry, what?
I said he's going to kick into my sword?
No, just kind of at you. He didn't roll that badly. He kind of chuckles and says, "Careful, boys. This one's a firecracker." And he turns and sees that his friend has been shot. The other one looks and comes running at Relland. This one has a little hatchet, right? And he's kind of bearing down at you. Not so much a run like you would expect in in a normal like full person size battle. He's more bearing down on you. He's just going to overpower you. He's going to roll pretty well. Neither of you bothered to buy armor, so.
I think they'd make armor that. I guess they make it for halflings.
You can buy some gnomes armor, yeah.
Armor's expensive.
Gnomes, right?
Armor is expensive. That's true.
Yeah.
You'd have a pretty good amount of money though.
To be fair, they're pretty good runner. That's why I was sleeping in a tent outside.
You bought so much candy. Just so much candy.
So much candy. They're gonna rob us and be like, "All they got is candy."
Best robbery ever. So he's gonna slash down at you.
No.
I'd like you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Sorry, eating your chip. I rolled a 15 again. That's 3 in a row.
You kind of try to scramble backwards and put your arms up, and he just slashes through your bow, breaking it in half.
Uh-oh.
Cheers.
Make a break for it!
Protect the candy!
Scatter! Oh, God! The guy in the back tries to launch an arrow to fire it at you, but he's wounded. God, he still rolls pretty well.
He has an arrow in his shoulder, though.
He does, so he has ammo.
He yanks it out and shoots me in the face.
No, he does shoot it at you. That is going to hit you in the leg. It's going to just open a deep gash along the side of your thigh. And just searing pain flashes through you. You've never been hurt like this before, and you just fall over backwards, clutching at your leg.
Dear.
Like gasping and like terrified. It is your turn. You got one guy bearing down on you and a broken bow in your hands. Well, actually, you're clutching at your leg, so you don't have anything in your hands right now.
With the guy on me, I reach just to try to grab anything to throw at this guy's face that's coming at me while I'm scrambling backwards.
Okay, I would like you to make a wisdom check just to see if you can kind of mount your wits about you.
18.
Okay, yeah, you are able to get just like kind of a handful of like pebbles and grit, and you just throw it up, just to see kind of how well you do. Just roll an attack roll.
14.
Okay, it kind of mostly splatters against his chest, but a little bit it makes him recoil a little bit. Delilah, what would you like to do?
So, When I charged at the first guy, I kind of ran past him, right? Because of my momentum.
Yeah, just like a little bit.
Just
Yeah.
keep running.
I'm going to. Yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to keep running for the guy that you shot. I'm just going to go for him.
The boot push just makes you go faster.
Yeah. And I'm still screaming, and I'm gonna swing at him angrily because he shot my friend.
I am dying.
You're fine.
Pretty rough. You have 3 HP left, by the way.
Oh, I don't think I had any HP left. I was basically dead.
Empty. No, I have 3 HP left.
Oh.
So imagine how much HP you have
Yeah,
left.
you have 1. Delilah has 3.
Oh boy.
And that's
Yeah,
only
I'm gonna
because
swing.
you rolled a 1 to do damage to you.
Oh, well, that's good.
So the guy that's on the ground was shot. Here we go. Swing my sword. 19.
Yeah, that'll do it. Roll a d6.
A D6. 5.
You just kind of like have the blade leveled and it's up. You don't swing at him. You just kind of jab it in, and you feel it kind of go a little bit, and you just push up a little bit more, kind of like startled, and you have jammed it right through his stomach,
Oh.
and he kind of
Oh.
coughs up blood, and some of it drips down onto you, and you feel the blood of his stomach kind of run onto your hands.
Oh.
I'd like you to make a wisdom save.
Oh no.
9.
Oh no.
You let go of the sword and kind of just take a couple steps back, unsure of what to do.
I'm still screaming, but now a couple octaves higher.
The leader will say, "You little bitch!
Uh-oh.
You killed my brother!"
Oh no.
And he's gonna come up behind you, and he's got his dagger, and he grabs you by the braids, and he turns you towards him, and you're like on your tippy toes as he kind of like pulls you up, and like in a lot of pain, you can't even gather yourself. You got blood on your face and like in your eyes, and you see him. He's just anger, and he has the knife, and he like puts it up to your throat and just digs in a little bit, and you can feel it kind of open up with some searing pain. And he says, "We might have been nice to you, but now you're gonna die with your friend." And he kind of nicks down a little bit, and then pulls the blade back, and he's getting ready to shove it in your face. And something just reaches down and grabs him by the head. It looks like almost like a claw or like taloned hand, just these 3 long, kind of ghastly talons
Oh
grabs around
god.
his head. There's a brief moment where they're just kind of there, and then it seems to kind of go slow mo, and then it flexes, and the talons dig into his neck, and you see blood kind of spurt out, and then he lets go of you for a moment, and you just see shock on his face, and then with a sickening crunch, you just hear a twist, and his neck cracks and his head turns completely sideways, and he just flops to the ground. The guy with the hatchet just drops, and he looks just ghost pale and terrified. And he starts backing up, and he backs up against a tree and kind of like stumbles around it. He's like trying to get out from behind it, and as he starts to move, the tree looks like it like melts around him, and just kind of grabs him and holds him in place. And it starts to like reach. It's almost like that scene from The Matrix with the. It's been so long since I saw it, and she's so fucking annoying right now. where the silver is going up and around and then down his throat. The bark of the tree is doing that. As if it's like a living thing. It's like absorbing into him. And then
that's literally what he said. Oh no!
And after a moment, it's just you see it kind of like shrinking, like contracting, and then you hear just, and the guy like jerks and then falls limp, held up in the tree. Rel, you're looking at this and you kind of like try to like back away from the tree because you're like near one of its roots and you like kick at the root and try to get away.
Yeah, no.
Delilah, you don't know what reached out. You don't see anything. You did hear like a up and into the trees right after. I mean, this looked like when an eagle grabbed. Garrod would always point out when the eagles would grab fish, and like, hey, watch how they do this. You know, like, watch as they dive in, grab it, and then get moving again. He was always talking about hit and run tactics, how to fight something bigger than you, how to catch your prey, how to lie in ambush and wait to get the advantage. Always talking about these kind of things, and especially in regards to like hunting and whatnot. But you have no idea. This shadow is just gone now. You start to feel that familiar like fear of the dark, kind of closing in on you again, and you find yourself kind of stepping back. You're near Rel now, and the both of you look kind of into the woods, and you hear like there's the flapping of wings, and you think you look to see if there's like and you look deep into the woods and you see shadows moving, and you see what looks like just hundreds of crows just coalescing together in shadow, and then
get in the tent, Rel. Get in the tent.
It forms, and a figure steps forward, a very lithe figure. Not gaunt, but very. It moves with just so much grace and steps one foot in front of the other as it steps. Hips sway ever so slightly to the side. It looks like it has the build of a woman. It appears to be wearing like a cross between traveling cloak and like ball gown. Face covered by a silver mask. That looks not like super featured, but like a tragedy comedy mask with just the eyes and mouth and a little bit of a nose, but not like features. And there's like a little hood around that. And,
I scramble back and fall on the ground. Sorry.
It looks at you and says, in just a beautifully melodic voice, with just the slightest undertone of kind of the sound of like a bird song. It says, "You should not be outside the city. I believe you were told to come out in 2 weeks' time." And it kind of cocks its head and looks down at you. Still stepping closer and closer, like a slowly walking runway model.
Relland, he's gripping the cat figurine now as almost like protection. Blood is all over it.
Cocks her head the other way and kind of looks at it. She stops and kind of cocks her hips to the side, like with one hand on her hips, just kind of a striking pose. She's easily nearly 6 feet tall, and you see that she has her shoes have some sort of heel to them. You would think that she's very elegantly dressed as like a noble woman, but there's like this mix of that and like woodsy theme to it. It's very very odd, something you've never seen before. And she's making no sounds as she walks. Like the footsteps make no sound. The trailing of her gown makes no sound. She holds up her hand for the first time, and it kind of emerges from like a big like a classic wizard sleeve, like the big swooping sleeve, or like a really nice gown, I guess. And you see that it's attached to like a thing of silk to one of her fingers via a ring on each hand, and she kind of reveals her hand and she folds it on its. You know, like those old what's that like that glass ball that like they used to have telecommercials or late night commercials for, like, oh hey, check out we can flip this ball back and forth on our hands and it's really cool or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I got the
Oh,
idea. Yeah.
okay. So she kind of produces what looks like a small bead or a small ball or like a marble or something, and it kind of rolls across her hand until it's just like on her, just resting on the tip of her middle finger, just above her other finger. This long, elegant, pale hand. It's fairly dark, so she almost kind of glows in the moonlight. Because now it's into the evening, and you're in the woods, so it's fairly dark. The silver mask reflecting off the moon, or the moon off the water and onto her. She kind of just glows with this shimmery quality. And you see that it actually now it doesn't look so much like a marble as a perfectly black like berry. And then she rolls it back into her hands between her fingers, and she steps forward one time and kneels down close to you and reaches towards your face and your mouth. And when you kind of lean back at first, she snatches at your face and digs her two fingers, not like hard, but you can't get away from this. Like her grip is way too good.
Is she forcing like fish mouth, like
She does after a moment. She kind of just has you with one hand in your cheeks, and you kind of open your jaw a little bit, and she puts the berry in, and she says, "Eat." It has a slight bitterness at first, but then it becomes very sweet, and it seems to be very full of like juice and whatnot, and immediately feel like a warmth wash through you. Any hunger that you've experienced from the limited rations kind of fades away. You look down, and the wound on your leg kind of stops bleeding and is a little bit numb.
Thank you.
And she looks over and she says, "Does the dwarf bleed?"
I check myself over. No thanks. Dwarf is fine.
She has another berry in her hand, and then when you say no, she kind of flicks her wrist and the berry's gone.
Should have taken the berry.
And she kind of looks out towards the bay and at the moonlight, and kind of up, and she says, "You should have heeded the warning. 2 weeks, you were told. You have 10 days left. Are you ready for the dangers that are out here? I spared you this time."
Who are you?
"That is of little consequence to you now." She looks at the bodies and she says, "One of you has committed what most would consider a crime."
I'm
she
sorry.
Kind of cocks her head at the dwarf. Her mannerism with her head is very much like a raven. She, like the quick twitches, looking at the side, and she steps forward and she says, "How do you feel?" "I wasn't able to save you."
I feel slightly sick, to be honest.
She kind of looks away, like up the other way, just away, and she says, "Good. That is how it should be." The moon does not like to see the blood spilled, but sometimes it is unavoidable. This is, after all, somewhat what he trained you for, knowing full well this could happen one day.
Just hope it doesn't happen again.
She looks back at you, and you can just feel like she kind of snaps her head back at you, without moving the rest of her body, and you feel like she's like glaring, not like in a weird, not like in an unnatural way. She just like she was kind of turned away from you, and she looks back over her shoulder, but because it's just the featureless mask, you can't get a read. But you feel like there's like stern teacher glaring at you type thing, and she goes, "You may not have that choice, especially now. You have started down a path which cannot be backtracked." And she kneels down in front of you, kind of like squatting down in front of you, and her hands are on her knees, until she's basically eye level with you, and you can just barely see beyond the mask. Like there's a depth there, but the moonlight just barely penetrates, and you see soft, pale skin and a flash of green, as her eyes lock with yours. And you couldn't see her eyes until all of a sudden you could see them. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, oh, I can kind of see and there's eyes. It's like there was nothing and then eyes. And she says, "Would you like to go further?"
I don't know. Were these men evil?
She cocks her head to the other side. You can no longer see her eyes. And she says, "Were they?"
I think so.
It doesn't matter. They were gonna hurt Delilah, and I wasn't gonna let them.
That makes them evil, doesn't it? Hurting people for no apparent reason.
And
I don't know.
she stands up suddenly. She's suddenly just feels very tall. She's like staying perfectly like a beanstalk. And she kind of cocks her head back towards the moon again, and she says, "Nothing makes one evil. It is a choice."
Okay.
And she says, "The woods are mine. For now. You should return to the city."
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
She says, "Wait for your master 10 days, and then return."
No. Okay. We're sorry.
Thank you for helping us.
Thank you.
And she says, "Fare thee well, Protean children."
What?
Would you like to ask her what she said, or would you like to just take a check to see if you can hear her better?
I heard Protean.
Yes.
And
Children.
yes, well, that part makes sense. I'll just lock that word away in my memory for now.
Unless that doesn't mean what I think it means.
Farewell, protein children. What? Oh?
Welcome to the path of the soul. Protein for days.
Path of the swall. It took me a second to
She kind of reaches out one hand, elegant long finger, the trailing silk kind of billowing just ever so slightly in the breeze. And she points towards where the gate is around the city. and she says, "Go now. Linger not."
Yes, ma'am.
And you turn to walk away, and you hear,
Oh.
and you turn back, and there's nothing. Not even the bodies are gone.
Yeah.
There's no blood spilled on the ground. Your broken bow is still kind of lying nearby. The camp is lying nearby. The sword is buried with only about a foot of it showing. It's like spiked into the ground with like the top foot of it showing, like a grave marker.
Ooh. I think we should go back to the city now.
I think you were right. Just help you up and take you, drag you along.
You're actually feeling pretty good now. The wound has like scab, not scab, but like almost scar tissued over, like kind of fresh flesh.
That's some good berries. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba.
Nice.
And I start to pack up. Thank you. I pack up the camp.
She said not to linger, though.
I'm not leaving this
Just
stuff.
grab it all and just run.
Yeah.
Well, we've been trained to pack up quickly. Let's do it now.
You
Fair
get
enough.
you get back to town. Were you going to try to take your sword, or are you leaving it there? Oh.
I'm gonna take the sword.
When you approach it, you see that it is laced with vines up and looped over it and whatnot.
I'm leaving the sword.
Okay.
Well,
it's also it has rusted. It looks like it has been there for decades now.
what? Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I can take a hint.
You go back to the town. You manage to find a cheap inn that will let you stay under the eaves for a fairly small price. Although it does leave you with only 5 gold each, just because of how busy the city is. 10 days later, you leave the city again. The guards kind of eye you, but as you get close to the gate, you see Garad, and he greets you and asks you how your time in the city was.
The time in the city was fine.
Yeah. It was the time we spent outside that wasn't so pleasant.
And what did you learn from that?
Listen to Garad.
I like that lesson, but that's not the one you should learn. I don't remember what his voice was. So, this is what it is now.
Yeah.
Was more blinky-ish.
It was more, Blinksy-ish? Was it?
A bit.
I reckon that's not the lesson you should have learned.
That's closer, yeah.
This is me trying to get the non-raspy Sam Elliott. That's what we're going for now.
Yeah, gotcha.
But, I guess, I don't know. It says, "So what did you learn? Delilah, you know something now you didn't know before."
Killing is bad.
Sunday
Yes.
school answer.
It says, "Not always."
There are scary things in the woods.
And scarier things in men's hearts. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are we going?
He says, "West."
Okay.
Okay.
And you follow him along. He, you
We'll
travel.
sneak glances at the woods as we walk.
He you travel for another month, passing by little towns. You start to notice certain changes as you head west and west. The towns here have slightly different slightly different dress. There's less walls the further west you get. Eventually, you come to a series of where the road kind of diverts south, and there's some lakes in the north, and he leads you north. Starts to get a little bit chill. More and more, the days begin and end crisp, just on the dew side of frosty. He starts to show you more about how to properly set up camp to avoid the cold and all that. He leads you west, and your 11th birthdays come and go, and eventually you end up in a small town at the foot of some mountains, and he says to you, we've been traveling together for some time now. You're both almost 12. Not quite a man, Rel. And, Delilah, according to your people, you got quite a way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean you ain't ready to make some big decisions.
What kind of decisions?
Well, the way I see it is we can head south a little ways, and you can find out what I was looking into while you stayed in that town all those months ago. Find out what evil lurks in this land. See it face to face. Or you can go to the capital and spend your time doing whatever it is you need to do until you're ready.
That implies we're not ready yet.
You're never ready. Not fully. Doesn't mean you shouldn't see this, if it's what you want.
Relland steps forward. I want to see it.
Delilah?
Yeah. Then I want to see it too.
He says, very well. He turns towards the mountains and kind of stretches, and you hear like the cracking of his neck and his back, and as he kind of just stretches out, you swear he almost gets a little bit taller and kind of bigger. And he says, from here on out, this isn't training. Do you understand?
Yes, Garad.
Do not call me Garad. From this point forward, I am your master. Do you understand?
Yes, master?
Very good. There will be fire, there will be blood, and there will be consequences. Do you understand?
Yes.
What was that, Rel?
Yes, master.
Delilah?
I think so, Master.
Remember, Delilah, in the heat of battle, thinking can get you killed. Remember my training. and persevere.
Yes, master.
And he starts walking towards the mountains, just blowing past this little town on the side.
I
You,
exchange concerned glances with Delilah.
you see, there's a kind of an older man standing near the edge of town, and you hadn't really noticed him before because he had just been kind of cleaning some horses, but he very clearly had 3 horses prepared and pointing north. And he kind of looks at you guys, and he has kind of a quizzical, confused look on his face. And then he just kind of slumps his shoulders and kind of leads the horses back into the stable. There's a sign, just a post with a little sign in the ground that says Candrel on it, the name of the town. And sitting on the sign, this is some ways away from you as you kind of head up into the mountain path. It has a large black raven sitting on it, and the raven kind of looks at you and eyes you as you walk past. And when you're past it, it caws loudly and then flies off towards the mountains.